Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees.
The song Strange Fruit was released back in April of 1939 under the Commodore label. While it was Billie Holiday who popularized the song, she wasn't the songwriter of the piece. In actuality, it was Abel Meeropol, a Jewish communist teacher and civil rights activist from the Bronx, who wrote it. Meeropol first wrote Strange Fruit as a poem and then later decided to write it as a song. Meeropol's inspiration behind Strange Fruit came from a photo he saw taken in 1930 that captured the lynching of 2 black men in Indiana. Between the years of 1882 and 1968, 4,743 lynchings occurred in the United States, according to records maintained by the NAACP. Black people were the primary targets of these lynchings, especially in the early to middle part of the 20th century. Of these lynchings, 3,446, or about 72% of the people lynched, were black. The graphic photo disturbed and stuck with Meeropol for days and inspired him to write the poem. After he published Strange Fruit, Meeropol changed the poem into a song and passed it on to a nightclub owner, who then introduced it to Holiday.
Don't you know who this is?
She was thinking of something more special.
I'm downright flashy, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Billie Holiday.
Reporters keep asking me, Billie, why you do the things you do? This is what I tell them.
Billie Holiday, whose legal name was Eleanor Harris, was born on April 7, 1915, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Billie came from a working-class background, and her father, Clarence Holiday, was a jazz musician. However, he was not in her life much. Her mother worked around the clock and wasn't a fan of jazz. She believed that this genre of music was the devil's music. One could say that Billie had quite the childhood. As a little girl, Billie would go to the local brothel where the woman who ran it would play jazz records for her, and she would sit on the floor as a little girl and she'd listen to the music. While Billie was 10 years old, a 40-year-old man violently raped her and was sent to prison for a short amount of time. Billie was accused of being a prostitute, and due to this, she was taken to a Catholic reform school to live. The nuns there decided to teach her a lesson because she was rebellious, and they locked her in a room with dead bodies overnight to scare her. In 1928, Billie moved with her mother from Baltimore to New York City, and she found a job singing in a Harlem nightclub amongst other jobs, such as working in the brothel alongside her mother, from when she was 14. Singing in the club, Billie had no formal musical training, but with an instinctive sense of musical structure and with a wealth of experience gathered at the root level of jazz and blues, she developed a singing style that was deeply moving and unique. The singer later adopted her natural father's last name and took the name Billie from a favorite movie actress, Billie Dove. At this point in her life, not only was Billie finding her voice, but also she was being raped for money and beginning her lifelong struggle with addiction. Barney Josephson, who owned Cafe Society, had her come and sing at the interracial nightclub. He would later state that, "And all of my entertainers and entertainment and musicians will be hired for talent and not for color." When she was 18, she put out her first record as part of a group led by Benny Goodman, the King of Swing, earning her the nickname Lady Day. In the late 1930s, a new song, Strange Fruit, was brought to Billie Holiday at Cafe Society.
I want them to, well, first of all, I want them to feel gratitude for her and towards her. You know, I want them to say thank you to her. I want them to realize that this was truly the great godmother of the civil rights movement. She did this on her own. She reinvigorated the civil rights movement, you know, as we know it today, along with the death of Emmett Till. by singing this song about lynching in America. And so I want them to say thank you to her.
Billie Holiday put herself at extreme risk by performing the song Strange Fruit. She often sang about racial violence to interracial crowds, which was unprecedented at the time. She gained the attention of Harry Anslinger, the first commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. He targeted Billie Holiday because she was outwardly protesting against lynchings, and he tried to force Billie to stop singing the song Strange Fruit. However, Billie refused, and later on May 16, 1947, Holiday was arrested for possession of narcotics in her New York apartment. She would go on to spend several months in jail, and Billie lost her cabaret card, which made it illegal for her to perform anywhere where alcohol was sold. Billie's public struggles with addictions were used to delegitimize her and the movement, but despite the backlash, Holiday continued to perform Strange Fruit for years. Billie's public struggles with addiction were used to delegitimize her and the movement, but despite the backlash, Holiday continued to perform Strange Fruit for years. Strange Fruit became an anthem for anti-lynching activists. The song was meant to point out the ugly reality facing Black people in America. The song often gets positioned as a beautiful melody from the past, but it's not meant to be beautiful. As she prepared to portray Holiday, Andra Day was thinking about how the audience might fall into that trap.
The other thing I want them to do is to, I don't want them to enjoy it. Now, having played her and being on the other side, and while I was on set, the idea of people going, oh my God, that was so beautiful, I love that, it kills me, because I just am like, this is not a beautiful song. It is an ugly song, and the song is about the blood on the leaves, blood at the root, the twisted mouth and the bulging eyes and the smell of burning flesh. It's horrific.
The notes of Strange Fruit helped jumpstart a movement that is unfortunately still present today. It wasn't until March of 2022 that a federal law made lynching a hate crime in the United States. This is in no way the end of the fight against racial violence, but it shows how Holiday's activism helped the movement get to where it is today.
For the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rock, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter cry.